What up, y'all? This is Dave from PWC Brackets. So you're thinking about putting a subwoofer on your jet ski? We do all the testing so you don't have to. Yes, this is what we do, guys. We're going to do a quick testing. I'm going to show you, give you some positives, some pros and cons of the different subwoofers we tried out. And I'm going to try to shoot some quick pictures of them. They are large, some of them. They're hard to get in and out, so they'll kind of be in pieces. So sit back, relax, enjoy the video, and hopefully this will help you make a good, informed decision. Ride safe, ride loud. Okay, first up, we have basically this is what they call a free air sub. We were able to build a panel inside of our panel. I'm going to put it in and show you guys what it looks like. I'm not going to play all these because you're not going to really be able to hear it, but I will tell you what I found to be the best and what I think you should purchase. We have a whole bunch of different ones to choose from here, so let's get at it. Okay, so we got the subwoofer in there. It mounts down. We made a custom little plate. For space, great. For sound, definitely the worst that I heard on here. This is a free air sub. What you do, a free air, the way it works is use the back of your ski and the front of your ski, or the back of the compartment and the front of the compartment, to basically create pressure and give you sound waves. This particular subwoofer, it's a 10-inch subwoofer. I'm throwing it handles about 250 watts. I think I'm throwing about 270 to it. To me, this sounds okay. It's just not incredible. A partner of mine's running some 8s. He's got some scars. He says it sounds awesome. You know, everything is subjective, but I'm telling you right now, hands down, of what I heard, this is a no-no for me. I do love the space saving. It's great. I don't have to lose any of my storage. You know, the subwoofer looks kind of cool in there, but it was a lot of work to make this. And also on the back side of this, there is like the fueling and some other things. It does not get in the way, but if I was to do it, I probably wouldn't do this. This is coming out right now. Okay, next up is the bazooka tube. On some of these, you can remove this whole panel to give you more room. I'm going to just set them down in this compartment here. If you want to get tricky with it and mount the bazooka tube, I will tell you, I didn't have good luck with this. Basically, the first time I put it on power, it blew the back off right here. It had pretty good bass, but it was vibrating and rallying the whole time. But I'm just going to kind of show you the space that it's taking up. I do think Bazooka makes a good product, and I do think they sound actually really good for what they are. It's a great technology because it's going to be a ported enclosure, so typically you're able to get a little bit more lows. This is the 8-inch woofer one from Bazooka. It's actually going back. I bought it on Amazon. Again, sounded okay, but actually sounded very comparable to ours, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it's definitely taking up a lot more space. I'm gonna drop it in there and show you what it looks like. Okay, so we got it shoehorned in there. With bazookas, you want to corner load them, meaning you want to load them up against the side or the front of your ski. They don't really work well in free air, so actually the port is heading this way. And this does actually sound pretty good. You could strap it down. The only thing that I'm losing here is a lot of space. I have very little space on the GP. On the FX, you guys have a little bit more room, but you do want to leave this compartment open. And actually, if I was to run this, to be honest with you, I would remove this whole piece. If you have a GP, what I found the easiest way is I just cut my little piece here, and that way you can kind of fold it and get it out. There might be an easier way, but that's what I did. But like I said, I got this thing down in there. It's basically shoehorned in there, and I would say I would rate this one decently. I just don't like the space that it takes up, and the price is very relative to what we sell. It is an 8-inch subwoofer. Theirs is ported. Ours uses a passive radiator, so passive radiators similar to a port, not really, but it's just the way that it produces sound. It's kind of like a trick. Anyway, so that gives you an idea of what the basic bazooka tube looks like. Again, not for me. Okay, next up is the kicker bass tube. I actually really love these little bass tubes. This is the 10-inch subwoofer. I actually yanked it out of my wife's car. Got a little dirty out here, but they do make an 8-inch version that's going to be a little bit smaller. Not a lot smaller. It's going to be a little bit smaller. I actually really enjoy these. They sound really good. Kicker did a really good job. They kind of took the concept of the Bazooka, but they added, again, the passive radiator. The passive radiator, basically, in a nutshell, kind of makes it sound like you're running 2 tins in a smaller airspace. So it's kind of cool the way it works. It allows us to build an enclosure with a smaller airspace, because the passive radiator is working with it. And so it's kind of like running 1.5 maybe, but it's cool because it could be a pretty small enclosure. Obviously, the size difference doesn't seem like it's that much bigger until we put it in there. We'll show you what it looks like. This is the 10. Again, the 8 will be a little bit smaller, but I'm going to drop it in there. I'll show you again the size and what you're going to give up. Does it fit? Yes, barely. Literally, this thing is shoehorned in there. You do have a little bit more space if you remove your panel, like I told you about. We're able to get in there. Okay, this one actually sounds really good. It's a 10-inch. It sounds a little bit more airy to me, but it is loud. So everything on my ski was shaking. Again, these can handle a little bit more power. Our amplifier that we're using, remember guys, when you guys start doing this and you start adding amplifiers, remember we're using a jet ski, so we don't have an alternator. So we see this mistake a lot where people are adding multiple amplifiers. They're trying to get, like, first of all, our car amplifier or something like that. We're running digital amplifiers. So what that means, it's a very small amplifier, and it doesn't really use heat sinks. The actual housing is the heat sink, but because they're digital, they allow a lot of power to go out without requiring a lot of power to go in. This subwoofer can handle more. It's a 10-inch subwoofer, so it's going to handle a lot more power. We were hitting it again with about 250 RMS, which is pretty considerable for a little bitty amp and for a little bitty speaker. It does sound good. I have nothing bad to say about it. Would I use it on my jet ski? No. Will I put it back in my wife's car? 100%. It sounds great. We've got a 500-watt amplifier on it in the car, and it's perfect for her. It takes up very little space. Just in my jet ski, it takes up too much. So again, good speaker, but you have to decide if you want to give up this much space. Okay, next up is the 8-inch Kicker Q-Class with the passive radiator. This ski, I think when I bought this, it was actually about $700, maybe $699. Incredible sound inside this jet ski. It doesn't take up a lot of room. The only downside, it weighs 30 pounds. I'll put that in perspective. Roughly, if you fill up your gas, you're going to add about 100 pounds. So I would have to ride like 3/4 of the gas just to be able to enjoy this. This is going to make your bow extremely heavy. Some people don't really care about that. I just want to let you know that it does sound incredible. Hands down, the best sound I heard on here so far. Everything is shaking. It's deep. It sounds great. And I'm actually only putting like 250 watts RMS to it. This can actually handle anywhere between 600 watts RMS to 800. I probably would be 600 would be where I'd be safe, or 500 would probably be a really good a place to put this. Great subwoofer. Heavyweight. The reason why I have the towel down on there, it's so heavy I can't grab it and pull it out. So I had to put a basically like trying to pull a battery out. You got to put a strap on there. So that's what this is. Hands down, great speaker, great sound, heavy as all get out, and extremely expensive, but it does fit down in there quite nicely. It does lose some room. Again, that's where I'm at with that one. All right, next up is the recoil. If you see, I got a lot of my space back down in here. Definitely easy to mount. What we do, it's got 2 legs on it. I just run a nut and a bolt on the backside. I double nut it, and then I slide it on, lock it in place. I leave this area open. Again, if you wanted to remove this plastic piece, some of my customers run them like this. This is not wrong. You're more than welcome to do it like that. That's actually pretty easy to mount down as well. Obviously it's a speaker, so I did gain some room. I don't know if I would throw my anchor and everything right here. I do have an anchor up here, but you do still get to save some of your room. Remember, this does have a passive radiator, so the subwoofer does well when it bounces off of things. So just kind of keep that in mind. I would say put it in there, try to fire it different ways. Overall, when you're talking about saving space, I definitely was able to save quite a bit of space, especially if you take these brackets here. You can actually modify this bracket, which is what I do a lot of times. I'll actually cut this arm off and I'll make it to where it mounts flush like this to my back panel. So I save up quite a bit of room and you don't even really notice it. Overall volume, it's really nice. It actually has a nice punchy feel. Is it the loudest? No. Is it the most expensive? Definitely not. Does it sound great for what it is? I think it sounds incredible. That's not me just selling the product. I've tried all of them. And I could use any one of these in my ski, guys, okay? But I'll be honest with you, for what I'm trying to do and keep it down, this is what I want to use. The reason why, Hander's 250 watts RMS. That's exactly what I'm putting out. Our amplifier was actually kind of designed to work well with these. And again, you can see the size. It does have a passive radiator on the back, so that does help. Anyway, that's where we're at with it. Ride safe, ride loud, and you know, that's it. I'm going to give you my quick overview of all of the speakers we've tested, so you can kind of make your own decisions. Yo, bitch, wanna give me pesos. First do it, bitch, I'm Draco. If you want that drama, you gon' get just what you pray for. So I gotta check, I went by my mama Range Rover. Wasn't new, but it was paid for. Said one day we'll be straight though. So which one really is the king of bass? Which one's gonna do what you needed to do? How are we gonna save you money? And how are we gonna save you space? Coming up in just a minute. Put in a subwoofer in your jet ski the PWC bracket way. Okay, so here we are at the end of the video. It comes down to what do I think? What are the pros and cons? I'm going to give them to you of what I think. No particular order. You guys can make your own decisions. Remember, I'm not going to be biased if this is just like facts and subjectively speaking, okay? The Kicker Free Air, hands down the worst speaker I tested. I love the concept, save space, awesome. If this was an enclosure, I think it would probably be a lot better. Free air is very hard to dictate the outcome, okay? Certain airspaces, if you have a boat, you might have a little bit tighter section, a smaller section. I could just tell you from what we tested, it was not that impressive. It looks awesome. It's awesome because it saves space, but for us, not very good. The Bazooka tube. I actually like Bazooka. This speaker did sound really well until it came apart. You know, basically this whole thing came apart. I don't know. Bazooka just, I don't think is what it used to be. I think it's a great subwoofer, but it does take up a lot more space than some of the other ones on here. If I was to rank that in loudest, I would actually say that came in probably a tie for third on loudest. But again, you do lose a lot of space, and the build quality I'm not very happy with. I'm pretty disappointed. I'm actually sending this one back. Okay, next up in line, the Kicker L7. This thing's a little dirty. I've had it in my my shed for a while. Incredible. Hands down the loudest thing I've heard. This L7 is nasty, okay? It can hold up to 500 watts of power. I can only imagine if we threw 500 at this thing, what my ski would be doing. It would probably just come apart. But remember, guys, when you guys start adding more power, you know, you got to add more batteries. We're using a stator. It's just not going to be the best thing. But I could tell you that even on 250 watts RMS, that thing was hammering. The only downside, I love the size of it. I love the concept. Passive radiator on the back. I mean, this thing is nasty. If you know anything about the L7Q classes, great subwoofers, but hands down the heaviest thing. This thing literally weighs 30 pounds, guys. I have to have a towel to put in there to get it out. That's how heavy it is. I don't know if I'm ready to give up that much weight on a jet ski. Whoops, sorry. And I mean, I love to eat my burritos, guys, so that's going to be what I would suggest. I think it's great. I just don't like the weight, okay? And then the recoil. The recoil, I think, is for the money, for $200, it sounds incredible. It's going to be very similar to the Bazooka tube, and it's going to be a step below overall volume, one of these two, but not by much. The 8-inch subwoofer actually does get down. The passive radiator does help. The enclosure is tuned. It is waterproof. So I showed you in the video, you were able to see the size of the speaker. I'm not talking great about it. I think it's incredible for the money and for the size, guys. So remember, whenever we do this bass game or we do all this subwoofers or speakers, you got to give a little bit and take a little bit. For $200, hands down, my favorite speaker. It's actually the one that's going back in my jet ski. Remember, I could choose any one of these, and it doesn't bother me. I don't really make that much money on the subwoofer. This is for my customers. This is my personal opinion. Again, loudest, 30 pounds. This comes in at 10 pounds. It's almost a third of the weight, okay? The Kicker, great subwoofer. I love it in my wife's car. In this ski, it actually was a little airy. It didn't sound as good as these two when it came to overall tight bass. It was a little bit louder than probably the recoil, but it sounded airy. It wasn't tight. It was kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like puffy sounding. It sounds incredible in a car. The 8-inch subwoofer I don't have. I have the 10. The 8-inch is probably going to be a little bit closer to these two. But again, you are going to lose quite a bit of space because of the way that we designed the mounting in the square sub enclosure with the passive radiator. Awesome product, just not in the jet ski. I showed you the size of it. If you want to give up a bunch of room, I say go for it. If you want to spend more money, I say go for it. But those are my personal picks. So I would say this is going back in my ski. If I really want to go to a show and hammer people and show them we can get loud, I would definitely choose the Kicker, the L7 Q Class. But by the way, in perspective, cost-wise, you're definitely going to get the Kicker free air is going to be less expensive, the cheapest. The Bazooka's real close to ours. You get anywhere about $200, $185. That was about $600. These come in at a couple about $300. So price-wise, I'm gonna let you guys figure all that out. Also, the cool thing is this is running 4 ohm and our amplifier does run 4 ohm bridged. These other ones are going to run 2 ohm. So if your amplifier can run 2 ohm, you're going to get more of a benefit from that. Ride safe, ride loud, guys. We're out of here. And Swiss Cheese, thanks again for helping us out with this. And I didn't really do a lot of playing, guys, because you really can't hear the subwoofer. But I will tell you that it does sound full. I mean, I could play it, but you're just going to hear the mids and highs because they're so loud. I mean, we can record some things vibrating on the back of the ski, but I will tell you this one sounds great. Remember, guys, subwoofers on jet skis, it's kind of like a toss in the air. It just, it sounds good up until a certain speed, and then after that, it just loses it. I know the video got a little long. Again, ride safe, ride loud. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys on the water. Peace.